Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode. Today, we're talking about Creepshow 2 from 1987. Don't ask why we did this instead of Creepshow 1. We went straight to Creepshow 2, and from what I'm hearing, there'll be no reason to do Creepshow 3 because apparently it is terrible. Have you heard anything about Creepshow 3?
I did not know there was a Creepshow 3 until I looked it up.
Well, it's from 2006. It's on Tubi, and everything I've read online is to just pretend it doesn't exist. Apparently, it is horrible. Which, I
What
mean,
about the show that Shudder's been doing? I think there's a total 4 seasons of that.
that's supposed to be good, actually. But Creepshow 3, terrible apparently. But no, the TV show definitely has gotten a lot of good reviews though. But
I will say one thing, I got a rock.
you do. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Do you want to give any more information and context on The Rock?
So on the rock is it somewhat segues into the very first story because I bought it at a convenience store that sold mostly handmade stuff made by the Navajo Indians.
Ah. Now we can really tie it in if this is true. Were you robbing the convenience store though? Were you there to stick them up?
No.
Oh, well, okay.
That would be rude, sir. I mean,
Your dedication to this podcast has to be questioned. Because if you really wanted to parallel the story with real life, you would have robbed the convenience store, shot the owner's wife, shot the owner, and then took your 2 psychic friends away, only to face some problems down the line. But no, you're clearly not dedicated.
so the reason I didn't want to do that is one, I don't have Sam's luscious head of hair. Okay. And secondly, where else am I going to get my spears and my swords from? It was the same. It was the same shop I got this at.
Hey, listen, if he shows up in Hollywood with that hair on day one, he's the new.
Oh, he's making it.
He's a heartthrob. He's the new Tom Cruise, new everything. All he needs to do is just show up, wave that hair, and the rest of his future is good to go.
So. He would have been in Lethal Weapon 2.
I saw that hair and I was like, you know what? Damn it! I haven't tried growing my hair out that long in a long time, but maybe there's a reason to go down that route now. So, let's slow down. We're jumping in. Let's go back a little bit. So, Creepshow 2. Why are we doing this? Because we're going to focus a little bit, give some love to anthology films. There's quite a bit of many of them out there. I've always been a big anthology fan. Mainly for me, it goes back to the Tales from the Crypt TV show and the Are You Afraid of the Dark TV show. As kids, that's like one of my first introductions to horror was watching those shows, really. Especially Are You Afraid of the Dark. As a kid, that was everything in terms of the first gateway thing to horror, even though some of that stuff was actually legitimate scary. Tales from the Crypt. Later on, watching a little bit of Twilight Zone and, mostly for me it was TV shows at first, but then I was like, oh, there's anthology horror movies too. Like, it's been pretty fascinating. What do you remember? Like, what were your first interactions with sort of horror anthologies? Was it like TV shows? Was it like a movie? What do you remember?
Mostly TV shows. I mean, Tales from. Hold on, I think I need more do.
Tales from the. The beauty of the show is, folks, going forward, I promise you, I'm not editing out a damn thing in this show.
Tales of the
years of us blubbering, flubbering, and relying on Vic's editing. No more. We're giving you the raw footage of everything. Yes, it's true. Nick does need about 7 Mountain Dews before we start recording. I'm finished my coffee, but I'm like, man, I need some more too. But okay.
No,
Tales from the something. Yeah.
So, you know what's bad is you literally just said it, and I cannot remember the show to save my life.
Tales from the Crypt, or
no, not that one. The one on Nickelodeon.
Oh, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That's it. Thank you. Because for some reason, Tales, because of everything I was just talking about before we started recording. But yeah, no, my earliest reaction to anthology is Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, Tales from the Crypt, and actually a little bit of Creepshow and Tales from the Dark Side when I was younger too.
Tales from the Dark Side I didn't get on until I was older. I had heard about it, but then way back, like way after I was already like in my 20s, I think I went back and watched the entire Tales from the Dark Side TV show, which has the best opening music, opening credits. I advise you all on YouTube, just type in Tales from the Dark Side opening, most creepiest 20-second opening music ever. And then, but yeah, it came before Tales from the Crypt, and that was a part of it too. You know what I didn't think about? What's actually sort of anthology in a way too is if you think about it, Goosebump books were like basically anthology.
Well, yeah, because each story
Well,
was different.
yeah, so I guess I was exposed to that and that kind of feel too of just like different horror stories in one series. So,
No, I will say as my part of Tales from the Dark Side is I never actually saw the show. I'm talking about like the movie that came out
mhm.
because there's once, and to be honest, I never even thought of this as Tales from the Dark Side because for some reason these there's two shorts I always remembered from watching these old anthology movies, and I always
Mm,
thought it was Creepshow 2. But the first
mm.
one was from Tales from the Dark Side, and it was a gargoyle one,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah,
supposed to emanate the Yuki Onna story.
yeah, yeah.
And then the second one was actually had Leslie Nelson in it. Is it Nelson or Nielsen?
Nielsen.
Nielsen.
Hmm.
Leslie Nielsen in it, and it was when he finds his wife cheating on him and buries her up to her neck along with her affair partner. Granted, I
Uh,
remember there being more to the story than that, but that is the main gist of it. And of course, they come back as drowned zombies.
ah,
But for some reason, I always thought that was Creepshow 2.
mm,
And I think what may have happened is I think my dad took a VHS tape and
mm.
played Tales from the Dark Side, got to that gargoyle point, and pushed record on the VHS tape. And then started watching Creepshow 1, which is where the Leslie Nielsen short comes from,
Okay.
and recorded that onto the next part of the VHS tape because I always remember them being me watching them back to back.
Yeah, if you took away the opening credits, like the titles and stuff like that, and you're just as a kid watching the different stories, like yeah, you wouldn't really know what movie they belong to because they all have a similar feel, I would say, like Creepshow 2, Tales from the Dark Side. Um, Man, I remember I used to make some crazy VHS mixtapes. I'd have like 3 episodes of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, cutting to an episode of Full House, cutting to an episode of Boy Meets World, cutting to some random wrestling matches, and then cutting to like some kind of horror movie on like Army of Darkness, the TV version. So, yeah, I was definitely putting together some crazy VHS mixtapes with the VC. Once they put a VCR in my room, I was like, man, I was
I,
I was
I
happy.
want to watch on my childhood all the time.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, so many good anthology movies, TV shows. I mean, I think that if you're a horror fan, you kind of have a love for anthologies, period. I mean, we reviewed Trick or Treat last year, and there's so many horror anthology related things. So, yeah, basically, if you grew up a horror fan, then you probably been exposed to something, either Tales from the Dark Side or Tales from the Crypt, or if you're
or
afraid of the dark.
or if you're more into the modern form, you got the new Creepshow TV show. You got the VHS series, which I think has a total of 6 or 7 movies now.
Yeah, even even like American Horror Story, I guess has like a different story every season. So I mean
Yeah,
the idea of that is also basically horror anthology if you think about it. So yeah, um, it's out there, but I kind of similar. Like I know the different stories for the most part, but yeah, I couldn't actually myself either like place like which movie each story is in. Like have an idea of all of them, but I'd have some confusion too about is this Tales from the Dark Side? Is this Creepshow? To me, they all kind of group together as like the same thing in my memories and stuff. So and I don't remember ever actually watching Creepshow 2 like from beginning to end either. So this is all kind of surprising to me as well. But
uh,
Creepshow and Creepshow 2 are just like known as like, big time horror anthology movies. I guess they come from a comic book ish too as well. It's kind of similar to Tales from the Crypt, but the original Creepshow was like a combination of like Stephen King, George Romero, and then these stories are also some of these are Stephen King short stories as well. So I was very curious to watch this. This has 3 stories, where the first one I guess has 5 stories, and
yeah, which means there's a little each story in the part 2 is more fleshed out a little bit better than
yeah,
our
I
previous
think
one.
I feel like 3 stories is a good amount for a movie because it's like enough time to like flesh the story out. You don't feel rushed. I feel like 5 stories might be feeling like it's kind of rushed a little bit, right? So
especially since each anthology does have your kind of a central story going on in between that may not connect to any stories being told per se, but it is still being. So in a sense, this movie has 4 stories going on.
now with this movie, I will say, like, I didn't really care for all this stuff, like between the movies,
The
all the
whole animation.
yeah, I kind of ended up wanting just to fast forward that stuff in the next story, pretty much, is how I ended up feeling. So
I mean, it's very bare bones. Kid is very interested in this comic book series called Creepshow. He buys these giant Phoenix flytraps and feeds the bullies to him.
yeah, I get it, but I don't know. I just
Compared to the other 3, this one's very bare bones. No, not really any love given to it. The only difference is our creeper happens to be played by Tom Savini, even though it's not his voice.
yeah, I remember liking the. So basically, it's always called the wraparound story. The wraparound story is like the story that is at the beginning, the end, and kind of in between the things. That's called the wraparound story. I remember Tales from the Dark Side, I think, having a better one where I think a kid is like captured by this old lady and like he has to tell her the stories in order to like stop her from throwing them in the oven. She's just planning to cook them for dinner. So he's like, before you do that, let me tell you another story. And she keeps liking the stories. In the end, he ends up throwing
And it
her.
just so happens the gargoyle story I was telling you about, apparently, when I looked it up, is the last story of Tales from the Dark Side movie.
Yeah. So like that's a better wraparound story than this to me, but I don't need the wraparound story to be great. But okay, so yeah, let's talk about this first story. Feels very familiar. It feels like I've seen this kind of story a lot. The idea of like something coming to life like this.
Yeah, old Chief Woodenhead.
Old Chief Woodenhead, man. I'll tell you what, they had some cool names for chiefs back then.
Right. At least Benjamin Whitestorm. I think it was. Was it Whitestorm? I think it was.
I think so.
No, I thought I'd written it down. No, White Moon. Benjamin White Moon was the chief that was giving Ray, in a sense, a payment. So that payment as a almost as an IOU of, hey, if I don't get this to you in 2 years, it's yours.
Yeah, well, you know the actor in this this story, he is actually also from the Naked Gun movies. So he would later on, after this movie, go on to star with Leslie Nielsen as sort of his right hand man in the Naked Gun trilogy. So
wait, which actor? There's plenty.
This would be the owner of the shop, basically.
So Ray, okay, Ray.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I know I recognize him. I never could put his name to his face, but I recognize him because, I mean, he's been in multiple movies, so it's hard not to have seen this actor.
Yeah, he's a very familiar face for sure. Yeah, but the general idea of like something coming to life to defend its owners or to get revenge, I feel like I've seen that in like maybe Tales from the Dark Side. I think there was some. I think of some like mummy thing where it's usually like a mummy comes to life. But I've seen it a lot in anthology films and different things. So I was very familiar with the idea of this story. But it's well executed for the most part. We get 3 really goofy assholes here as our villains, I would say.
One of them happening to be the chief's damn nephew.
Yeah, man, this kid was not raised properly, I have to say. So they did.
But his hair, though, man.
I mean, he was raised with good hair, but I mean, damn, this dude is like totally miscalculated what it takes to be famous or successful. He's just like, man, the hair is all I need. It's like, you need more than the hair. I mean, come on.
I mean, he was hoping to become Charles Manson, I'm sure. He wanted a whole cult following. Instead, he gets fat stuff and Kavanaugh.
Yeah, which I don't know, man. I kind of felt bad for his sidekicks a little bit.
Well, I mean, sidekicks didn't want to hurt anybody. You can clearly tell.
Right. They're being led into this, but they really just want to get money and get out, basically. But they're not as like purely evil as the main dude here.
No, and I will say that there is one downside for me for this first one, and that is we don't see the main dude actually die because the whole thing cuts right before the knife comes down on him. So to be fair, you can survive being scalped. So
yeah, I had a feeling for some reason they weren't going to show it. So, do you think the main dude? All right, what really pops off here is that okay, this is just a normal robbery, which is fine, but then he shoots the wife with the gun. I can't tell if it was an accident or if like it was filmed kind of weird. He has it next to her, and it seems like it's an accident.
but then
Then
immediately turns to Ray and literally purposely blows him away. I do
but
think,
he feels like he has to at that point, though, right? He feels like
yeah,
okay,
I do
we
think
can't.
with Martha,
Yeah,
it was a pure accident because, and this is why I always go off on the whole gun safety things. Like, don't have your finger on the trigger unless you're really about to shoot somebody. Here's the other thing. That's a shotgun, right? It looked like a decent high power. That scrawny ass kid is not going to shoot that one handed and not get his arm blown away along in the process.
and wouldn't am I wrong? Wouldn't she have like flown against the wall like with like a lot more impact? It seems like she just stands there, gets shot, and then just falls down. But wouldn't she like been like the impact been
Shoot,
greater?
to be fair, there would have been more of an impact. Yeah, I would say probably flown a little bit, especially with a shotgun. Depending on how powerful the gun itself is. I mean,
It was
apparently,
right close up though. I mean, I don't know.
apparently it's not strong enough to take his arm off when he's shooting it one handed in such an angle that is just. I mean, you wouldn't. No one would even use a handgun in that position. To use a shotgun in that position, and it didn't even recoil. No, that gun had no power to it at all. I'm surprised she died from it.
Well, she did, and unfortunately, her husband's dead now too. Because I guess, yeah, it's the idea of like we can't leave any witnesses here.
Well,
This
that
guy,
and he was coming for him. Like
I don't think he was definitely not coming to attack him. He was coming to check on his wife. Clearly,
well,
like
yeah,
he was walking towards him like in a non-threatening way, but the dude just decided like, well, we're gonna go to prison if this dude's alive, so he has to die. So, but
that and most likely shunned by his tribe because he just killed people in cold blood at that, and people that was helping the tribe.
yeah. Now this is where I feel for the sidekicks because they're like, oh man, we're an accessory to murder now. You know, what could have been, you know, a year in jail now is like life in prison if you get caught with this one. And you gotta be careful about who you're friends with because they can drag you down. So
Yeah, but at least our Chief Woodenhead does get last respects, even though I'm pretty sure I feel like White Moon should have went into the store to at least because he doesn't know that those two passed away. I'm sure he had a good idea, but he didn't know that they were dead. So I feel like he would have went in to check on them.
yeah, that was kind of weird, actually, honestly.
Yeah, he just did his salute to the Chief Woodenhead, said, "Now you can rest, good soul, good warrior," and then takes off. Like, what about the two people you claim to respect because they helped you in your tribe?
Yeah, can you make sure they actually get like proper burials? I mean, come on, seriously.
Just gets back in his car and leaves. It's like, bye.
It's like, is anybody ever gonna find their bodies? Like, I don't understand. Like,
I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll find Kavanaugh's body. He just left him on his car.
oh yeah, yeah. I did like the some of the deaths were like a dude getting all the arrows in him and then the arrow in the head. That was a well done. I like that.
Oh yeah, that was well done. Thing is, no one's going to find that body because it looked like he lived alone. I didn't see him in a trailer park at all. No one's looking for him.
Well, listen, you play stupid games, you get arrows in the head. So I'm not that sympathetic.
Head, 2 in the chest. No, that archer has a better shot than damn our villain who somehow still has an arm after that. I cannot get over how a shotgun does not break this dude's arm shooting at such an angle.
I mean, we know these horror movies sometimes they don't do the research or really care about those little things. So we can watch them now and usually be like, wait, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. Overall, I was pretty good with this first one. I thought that it's a tale as old as time, but that's pretty good. I was entertained.
Here's the question, actually. There is one thing. Because we see Chief Woodenhead, before everything happens, move to, in a sense, greet White Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a spirit in this chief the whole time, or did it just happen because I guess it's anticipating something bad's about to happen to the owners?
I don't know. It's not really spelled out, but I think that probably was present the entire time, but it was waiting for a moment to actually need to come and do that. So
yeah, because even White Moon seemed surprised when he saw it move. So I'm assuming no one else has ever seen this thing move, but yet all of a sudden it's alive. So was it alive because it's anticipating what's about to happen, or has it always been alive?
probably always been alive in some way, but kind of dormant, I guess.
Well, I mean, it was being taken care of by Ray, so it's like, well, why do I need to be alive at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I can just sleep for most times. So,
Right.
All right. So, okay, let's move on now to really the truth is when people think of Creepshow 2, they really think of this second segment. This second segment, if you go online, you search Creepshow 2, for example, on like any kind of horror Reddit, movie Reddit. Mostly like people are talking about this raft segment. Now, this is a short story from Stephen King, which I have not read, but I read a little bit some of the differences between this, the short film and what we see here on film. I love the concept.
I have issues with this.
Of course, but the concept is fantastic in terms of just like something in the water that I think he calls it potentially and was an oil spill, oil something?
Oil slick, yeah.
Oil slick. This idea of like, because everybody, not me because I don't swim, but I'm sure swimmers have sometimes swam in smaller bodies of water that maybe is not as regulated, and maybe you see something in the water or just something that makes you question the water basically being there. In this case, could be an oil slick, but quickly they determined that it's probably not an oil slick. But the concept of that being something in the water that's like really mysterious and creepy, I love that. But we got some dumb characters here. That's that force of nature versus some smart characters. You could make an entire movie out of it with these characters.
It's called The Blob.
Oh yeah, well, the Blob's a little bit different, I feel like, but I mean, in the water specifically, you could have an entire movie about the intelligent characters versus this thing, but these characters are so stupid that it has to be like a 20-25 minute thing because they're just not gonna last that long with their stupidity versus this thing. So
I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did, honestly. I mean, not only did these characters do such stupid shit, they were poorly acted in this one. At least the previous segment, and I'll even argue the next segment. Actually, I don't even need to argue that one. Those were acted fairly well for what we're getting of this kind of thing. Most anthologies don't have well acted stuff. They're just mostly either cheesy, corny, or supposed to be the subject matter is supposed to be what gets you. But oh my gosh, I could not get behind any of these characters because of how terrible the acting was.
I think the anthology format, unfortunately, one of the downsides might be that you have to jump in the story so quickly. You really can't focus too much on the characters. You're not getting a lot of character development. Probably for that reason, they're not really focused on the acting as much. It's more about get to the story. You know, you're sort of in a rush. Whereas like with a movie, maybe there'd be more scenes with the character's hair, more character moments that maybe brought out some better acting. But it's kind of just like they're thrown right into it. So that's kind of just comes with the territory of the anthology format. Now, I don't know. I feel like I thought both actresses did a decent job with their acting. I actually thought both male actors where it was like you could have called them Chief Wooden acting, basically. So like it was just like really bad acting on their parts, like the two male actors there.
Oh my gosh. Can we? I still want to add the tagline of "fuck Randy" for this one.
Well, before we get there, let me tell you something interesting about the actor who played Randy. Apparently, man, as
Don't tell
much
me
as
he
I
was actually a bad person in real life.
no, actually
Okay.
not at all. He's a trooper, actually. This kind of movie in today's world, maybe the entire thing is in front of a green screen and we're screaming for practical effects. But doing things practically has some downsides. And in this case, apparently the water was so cold the actors had to get in that poor actor who played Randy had hypothermia and had to go to the hospital in the middle of the shoot. Basically, was like some of the crew wanted him to keep going, but then the director was like, "Listen, he's gonna die if we keep putting him in the water. He's not gonna come back and film." So they let him go stay in the hospital. He came back and finished. But I guess when the actors are in the water here, it's like so cold and there's no way around it. It's all practical. So it's like, get your ass in the water, get the hypothermia, and get up on the raft. But
That explains why that felt like the most genuine reaction I've gotten throughout this whole movie, because it really was that cold. Because they were all saying, "What the hell?"
they're probably like, listen, can I just like keep my clothes on then? And like for some reason, because you got me like in a where it's like the water is that cold, I have to swim in this and what I'm wearing. So I kind of understand.
Well, you don't want to do that because your clothes are just going to stay wet and on your body. You're going to catch hypothermia even faster.
I guess that's true too. Yeah.
But now I will say, you mentioned a lot of that the characters in this do a lot of stupid shit. The first thing is Randy sees a duck fighting for its life. I'm not going to assume obviously murder is goo. I'm going to assume something is in the water. Let's get out.
Yeah. I think that you're right. Your brain doesn't jump to like murderous, venomous, gooey murderer thing, right? You're just not thinking like that. But certainly, it's a hint that maybe something is awry, something is off. Now, my theory about all these characters in the '80s is that because it's like they just have terrible horror movie instincts. Like they haven't like maybe seen as many horror movies as we've seen, so their radar isn't really that strong. So like they see something weird, they're just like, oh, I wonder what that is. Well, let me keep doing my thing. Whereas I'm like, well, danger, radar, danger alert, danger alert. But these characters, I mean, goes for all the Friday 13th movies and all that, even though by the later sequels, they should know some shit's up. They should know about Jason. But the horror radar for these characters in the 80s, man, they see suspicious stuff and they're like, oh, well, let's keep moving along. Let's go with the flow. And then they're dead 10 minutes later, right? So I don't know.
I mean, and the worst part is you get all these, at least three of the characters have been smoking pot the whole opening trying to get to the raft.
There you go, too.
And then you get to when you actually get on the raft, you get the one character. She takes one hit, just one. She must have inhaled some super weed, because there is no way one hit just made this girl so high that the very thing that she was slightly cautious of 5 seconds ago, she's now going to put her hand in and start touching it and petting it. Why would you want to pet goo?
Yeah, it's interesting because Randy from the post duck, Randy, as soon as he gets on there, he's the one that's immediately suspicious about the whole thing. Like when the girls are coming over, he immediately is like, yo, I think that thing was chasing them. I think it was after them. And the other dude's like, nah, dude, oil spill, whatever it is. He just keeps saying that basically. And he's like, Randy's like, I've seen one of those. It didn't look like it was forming an actual thing the way this thing looks like it actually has a purpose.
Even the girl even said, oh, we've seen that before too. She's seen it.
Right.
So again, she should know better.
Right. So it's almost like her doing that should have been during a time period where nobody was suspicious of the thing, right? No suspicion yet. They all think it's an oil thing. So she's like, okay, let me play with it. And then it shockingly like does that to her. It happening in a time where everybody is suspicious of the thing makes it feel, it's like the writing part of it's kind of like have that be a shock thing where everybody's like, yeah, we all agree it's an oil thing, and then you're shocked by that. But if you're like, don't go near that, and she's like, and then she goes near it, then you're like, oh well, that's kind of like that doesn't seem to make sense.
Well,
So
it would have made it slightly more sense if it was the other girl. What was her name? Laverne. Because she was already super high because she had been smoking like crazy in the car.
yeah,
And she's one of the two that didn't take it seriously to begin with.
true. Yeah, understood completely. Yeah, the order in which the characters die is pretty interesting. Like I don't know what planning went to that, I guess, but um, either way, this woman touches the thing, and now she's goo food. So
Yeah, she goo food. So and
she's goo
then they
dinner,
were sitting there,
goo dinner. So
and then I will say Deke had probably the best idea of, hey, it's full, it's away from us. It is, maybe jump in and see if we can get away from it. Because to be fair, that's the only way you're getting away from this thing. You can sit on that raft until you're blue in the face. You're going to die on that raft.
I think in the moment, though, you don't know that. In the moment, there's two things you can say. In hindsight, we're watching it. We're like, in hindsight, like yeah, just jump off and swim. But in the exact moment, there's two paths. There's, yes, the all or nothing path is jump in and try to swim. That's the all or nothing. That's the either catches me when I die or I live. That's like the all or nothing suggestion you're saying. The other one is a little bit less hectic. It's like, hey, let's try to wait it out. Maybe it'll go away, and then we peacefully get off the raft. So what you're saying feels more like the end of the, all right, there's no choice left. Now, doesn't mean you have to like wait there. Like it's not like Tremors where you have to wait 3 nights on a rock or anything like that. Probably should give it maybe like an hour and be like, maybe it goes away within an hour. But I don't, survival instinct, I don't think is that quick to jump into all or nothing, jump in the water. It gets me or doesn't get me. Early on, there is going to be more of a, is there some peaceful way that we can get through this without like this hectic thing? So I understand.
And again, a lot of people would agree with you until the thing. And I still say this should not have happened until it got Laverne.
Yeah.
But it breaks through the raft to get Deke.
Yeah, once it does that, it crosses into the threshold of like, whoa, we are really screwed here. This thing can actually like, because it's one thing for it to circle around and you have to touch it and you have to make sure you don't fall in the water. But if you can just be on the raft and it comes from the bottom and drags you down, it's like really at that point, then I think you do have to be like, okay, we have to get to the beach. We have to get out of the water off this thing because yeah, if it can just reach up and grab you, then what safety thing do you have there? Then it's like that. I agree that probably for his death, it should have been something where either he does jump in the water because his plan was to like, hey, he's like, I'm a great swimmer. I'm gonna jump in the water and take my chances. Maybe let him do that and they watch him do it and they watch the thing somehow catch him and get him.
Exactly.
Because you're right, that breaking through the raft thing should be like a shock death for one of the last two who thought that, hey, we can sit here and wait this out because it can actually get us on this thing. So that you're right. That second death should have been something more like, again, where he's off the raft and gets killed versus him just staying there and getting killed with the thing coming up. Absolutely. Because after this, there's no reason for them to feel safe on the raft after they see it.
Right, but instead they're like, what do? We wait. It's like, no. Waiting got Deke killed. I'm sorry. Yeah. At this point, seeing him bust through the raft, like, no, it's all or nothing at this point. If we wait in this raft and it chooses not to come after us, we die of starvation. If it chooses to come after us, we have nowhere to go because it is completely surrounding when it's underneath the raft. And it is so close that it can just speed off on us. No, best option is while it was like when it moved away after eating Deke, because it did move away.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible Deke's theory that it may be full is correct.
Now, if they're being honest, the best thing to do was while it's attacking Deke,
jump off and start swimming.
that's the time where you're probably really good because now you're making a decide like, do I stop killing Deke and go after these people, or do I stick with my current meal? That obviously takes in a second. You have to really quickly, oh, Deke's a goner. I'm out of here. You have to really decide quickly, and then you have to like tell the girl like, run for it now. Like, but that probably was because it does take a minute to kill Deke. A good solid. It's doing a lot of stuff there, trying to brag him down and stuff. Like that probably was the right time to do it. They probably in a scenario where they both survive at the end, it's them both jumping off and swimming while it's taking out Deke.
Yeah, but then we get very weird, which you said is not in the story to an extent. It is. We get Randy showing us why we no longer want anyone to survive this movie.
Well, this rap scene, it is memorable, but the story, but it's also gets a lot of slack for this random, out of nowhere, uncomfortable, awkward thing. Now, okay. In the short story, apparently, these two characters, even this seems stupid, but they do have consensual sex on the raft, again, with demon goo thing right beneath you. It seems like a stupid idea, period.
Right.
But okay, maybe they're like, hey, we're gonna die. Let's have sex before die. Whatever it might be. This movie, we've seen it. The young lass is sleeping, and Randy decides to take a direction that
no one should take.
No one should take, and this movie shouldn't take. But
you want to know the worst part about watching this for me? My wife literally comes out as this is going on. So of course I have to now answer, oh no, it's nothing serious. He's just being disgusting.
I didn't know what he was doing at first. I thought he was like trying to wake. I thought at first, having not seen this long time, I thought, did this cross your mind? I thought he was going to push her off as a distraction and then jump in the water and swim. I thought he was actually rolling. No, I know, but at least he's being tactical. Then he's like, okay, she's asleep. I'm going to roll her off, let the thing get her and swim. I thought that's what he was doing because nothing else to me made sense. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? But I mean, I have no idea if this is true, but someone said it's just like this 80s horror thing of just like they wanted to get some kind of more like TNA in the movie. So they found the most terrible way to do that, I guess. But I can't think that was the motivation, but
I feel like if you wanted to do TNA, maybe you should have just followed the short and made it consensual.
Yeah, there's a better way to do it.
It would not have been disgusting. It would have seemed more as pitiful because, as you said, it's like both these characters about to die. They're going to have sex just to make sure, just one last time before they go out. One more last hoorah to the evil goo.
Well, I mean, the worst thing about this, no, I don't say the worst thing. The worst thing is what we see, but let me get my train of thoughts. I don't misspeak on this whole thing because that's kind of a sensitive subject. Probably have to edit this out, but
so that's why I'm trying not to use the word.
Yeah. The other thing is he actually gets her killed by laying her down. When she wakes up, the thing has gotten her face. So like, I don't know, but the main thing is, yeah, the ending works a little bit better if we're still fans of Randy. But at this point, we're cheering on the goo thing to take out Randy. At this point,
what could have happened, I feel like, is like the goo while Randy's doing his nastiness, the goo grabs him by the leg, like busts through the other end, grabs him by the leg. Laverne hears him screaming, so jumps in the water and makes a swim for it and survives. That would have made this a little bit better for me, but again, with how badly acted, I don't want to watch this one again.
I would watch it again, but I would watch it just for some of the fun. I think there's a lot of good suspense in the first like 10-15 minutes of it, but it goes off throughout the ends. Now, Randy finally does his swim to freedom thing, and I guess it shows. I mean, the thing isn't that fast. So the whole time they could have outswam it. It seems like
not really. The thing was catching up. The only reason it didn't come after him right away is because it was still eating the girl. Because the thing was catching up to him at one point.
It caught up, but it's still I still feel like they had a chance. But the main thing is he gets on the beach and it's like, dude, keep. I think the natural instinct is get on the beach and keep running, and you're okay.
Right.
Why does he stops right at the edge of the beach to talk shit to it and be like, "Ha! I got you, I beat you," and it's like, "Oh, I got one more thing to show you, buddy."
Yeah, I got one more thing. I become a blanket.
Yeah, if he had got to his car, he'd be all right. But man, and the worst thing of
Oh.
all is the no swimming sign that's revealed about 30 minutes too late for these poor. Well, I'd say these poor folks, and then Randy. So.
Randy, yeah. Yeah, so
Randy, if Randy survived, his future probably was going to be in prison eventually anyway. So
probably because he was willing to do that not only pretty much to a friend, also. And remember, he wasn't even planning on having sex with her. He was planning on having sex with Rachel, the first death. So,
well, what's the thing about this? I mean, he was going to have to explain to people like, "Hey, you went up there with your 3 friends. Where are they?" He has to come up with a story.
So a mysterious goo came up and just ate all 3 of them. Okay. I promise you, I did nothing to them. You won't be able to find their bodies because the mysterious goo disintegrated them, bones and all.
I'm sure the judge is sitting there like, "So your argument is that it wasn't you, it was the goo."
It was the goo.
Life. It was the goo.
It was the goo. I promise you.
I'm sure the attorney's like, "This is what you're giving me to work with? We're gonna blame the goo."
You know what's bad is actually he probably would have gotten out of it for insanity.
If he tells that story exactly how it is, then although it's interesting, it's like if he brought authorities back to the lake, it's like I wonder if that thing would still be there, or if it'd be like, you're not getting me busted. I'm out of here. Like it goes to it floats to the other side of the lake while he's like, it was just there, and he's like hiding on the side. Like you're not bringing me. The goo is like, you're not bringing me in for questioning.
I will say that this short and the previous short both did not really give us a great ending per se, because the last short and this short have in common is in a sense our villain. You know, last one Sam, this one Randy. We did not get to actually see their deaths per se. So
I would say this one does have the thing with Randy. His thing is used as more like a jump scare almost, because you think he's okay, and the thing just like comes up. It's an effective moment. I mean,
with what Randy did, I would have wanted to see him just painfully scream as the thing disintegrated him. Same with Sam. I wanted to see him get scalped because of what he did.
Gotcha. Basically, our characters are getting their comeuppance, but it's just it's slightly off screen. I gotcha.
Right. Heck, even Kavanaugh got. Yeah, I mean, sure, his death was also off screen, but we got more of a death with him by seeing it in the shadows.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, the last one, I don't think there's much to talk about. It's just fun.
Yeah, this one also feels like something I've seen before, very familiar. There's always horror movies always love playing with the idea of like seeing things at night on the road, hitchhikers, different like things like that always show up in different stories. I guess the thing to talk about this one is that because I've read online, there's some confusion about, is this whole thing a figment of her imagination or is this actually happening?
So, me personally, I do think it is a figment of her imagination because I do say there's a theme for all 3 of these movies.
Yeah.
But if you take a good look at it, and I'm definitely wrong about the raft, but I feel like the raft is the theme is more lust because you got all these characters, they're going there to have sex. That was their plan from the sounds of what they were talking about in the car. Even Randy said he's planning on having sex with Rachel. And then everything just goes downhill with this goo. A goo that could have also been goo from somewhere else, but it wasn't. It was evil goo. And then the previous one is more like a vanity type thing with Sam because he was so into himself. He felt like he deserved so much more that he was willing to kill for it.
Mm-hmm.
So this one with Hitchhiker, I feel like is
What is this
guilt.
one? Guilt. Okay.
Because she just ran someone over, and yes, we see she's cheating on her husband, but at the same time, she's not really pictured as a bad person.
Yeah.
And then when she rams somebody by accident,
yeah.
I was expecting, to be honest with you, I was kind of expecting more of a I know what you did last summer kind of thing. She takes off and then she starts getting these strange mails or something's following her. Come to find out, I feel like her guilt.
But that would be
made this
that'd be like a movie though. For a short story anthology, they got to get right to the
fun the car chase sequences, because this was just one fun, in a sense, an action sequence of the spirit. Again, I believe guilt. Her guilt's conjuring up the hitchhiker, and the hitchhiker's just constantly coming at her. It's just
the way she talks to herself sets up the idea that she could be crazy in a way.
right.
Like she stalks herself in a way that's maybe not natural. She's doing the Jack Byrne thing while she drives, but it's without the CB radio. So just talking to herself. Yeah, some people said like they think that okay, it's in her mind. At the end, she actually dies of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah, because she pulls into her garage, her car's still running, and the garage closes, so all that exhaust fumes isn't going anywhere.
But she's found with the sign thing on her though, so it's kind of like that seems a little bit. It's like something might have been there, so I don't know.
I mean, guilt can make you kind of lose track, especially with monoxide poisoning. Can make you kind of, I mean, like we kind of saw it in the movie Midsommar. You got the family who, because of that monoxide poisoning, probably could not do anything and most likely hallucinated around the end there. So what if she wrote that while hallucinating from that poisoning and then sat, in her back seat? Because I think she was in a back seat too.
Yeah. I guess both scenarios are interesting. It's fun to watch in the context of it's in her mind. It's also fun just to watch it as like she hit the wrong damn spirit. Yeah, like this dude actually is like maybe every night just getting like mowed down purposely and then terrorizing the person who hit them all night. So
I will say it was honestly hilarious though, because around the end, first she runs him over multiple times, and then she's just slamming him up against the tree. It was just hilarious to watch the whole thing.
It was a funny sequence for sure. The way she first hits them is like kind of like
it was
so weird though. It's like all this stuff is happening where she's just losing control of her car, but it's kind of like it's like, lady, just put on the brakes. What are you doing? Like she's like swerving all over the place, and like I'm like, this doesn't seem that serious. Like just put on your like her whole. I guess her car's falling apart at that point too. I don't understand, but
well, her car definitely fell apart by the end of it.
Yeah, it was a good one. I would say that, to be honest, overall, I think the rafting is still more memorable. I think the rafting just because like the setting and the goo being such a weird bad guy, that it does stand out. Whereas the first one, the third one, I feel like they feel more like other things we've seen more often. So I think that's what it is. But I think I rank the second one after the raft, and then I think the first one is probably my least favorite, even though I still like it.
Me, if I'm ranking them, I have to say I kind of like the Hitchhiker most. Again, it's just a fun sequence. And then I'm giving it to Old Chief Woodenhead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's something we've seen plenty of times, but at the same time, I'm fine with a good slasher, even if it's only 20 minutes. And the other reason is I feel like that one was better acted and better done, more better acted than the raft. The raft just annoyed the hell out of me from start to finish. I will say the effects, all the goo eating people effects, was actually pretty good, especially Laverne when she just comes up and she's nothing but a skeleton.
Yeah.
But
don't you feel like I feel like, man, with the concept, not to say it's wasted here per se, but man, maybe not a franchise, but I think you could have got one full movie out of this idea of something in the water like that. You maybe have like maybe like 6 characters, smarter characters,
So
slow burn it up a little bit. I feel like that could have been good. So
you need to watch The Sand.
The Sand. What the hell? The hell is The Sand?
So Cliff Notes, because I've watched it. It's a bad movie. But it is kind of the same thing as this. But what they did is they it seemed like a weird meteorite or something washed up on shore. Bunch of college kids were having a party on the sand at a beach.
Mm-hmm.
The day prior, everyone who fell asleep off the sand, like two were in a car, one got so drunk he fell asleep in a trash can, and others are in like this kind of a lifeguard tower. They were alive. They were still alive. Everyone else was just disappeared overnight. No one knows what happened. And the whole thing, and they thought they all left until the ones on the lifeguard tower turned around and saw all the cars were still around. And then someone tried to walk on the beach, and when they did, something came out and just like this goo pretty much dragged them down and just disintegrated them into the sand.
Gotcha.
So again, good sounding concept. Shit execution.
Well, yeah, that's all I'm asking for. I'm asking for like the same idea, just with better execution. Like I would love to watch an entire movie with this done properly, with likable characters, with a little bit more intelligent back and forth, like plotting of like how we get past this thing. It just feels like it's a little bit wasted here, but still I can see why it's memorable though. So,
yeah.
All right. I guess any overall final thoughts on the whole Creepshow 2? I need to go back and watch Creepshow 1 because I remember 1 or 2 things, but I don't remember all 5 stories at all. So I feel
the only thing I remember of Creepshow 1, like I said, was that Leslie Nielsen one that I thought was part of a different movie. So
yeah. I mean, Leslie Nielsen is actually what's funny about Leslie Nielsen is that he's mostly known for like his parody movies, Naked Gun and all that stuff. But prior to that, he was like a serious actor with like serious things. Like remember him in Prom Night?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but you just think of him, you think of like goofy Naked Gun movies. So it's very interesting. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good anthology film. I think from what I remember, I think I do enjoy Tales from the Dark Side more than this. But we'll have to revisit. We'll have to visit that too and see, how that stacks up and then the first Creepshow, of course, and then there's a couple. There's one called Body Bags from 1994 that has some
the
good
John
stuff.
Carpenter one.
Yeah, that has some good stuff. That's one we can visit too. So maybe we'll do like an anthology month. There's a lot of anthology stuff we can do, honestly. So, yeah, but pretty happily satisfied with this one. I would say if you haven't seen it, check it out for sure. Know that the certain things will upset you for sure. There's definitely stuff to complain about, as we talked about. So,
Randy,
I mean, I feel bad for the actor getting hypothermia, but if I was him, while in the hospital, I'd be like, wait a minute, why'd they write me doing this? I'm supposed to be like the likable main character. Why they got me doing this stuff? They're gonna turn the entire audience against me, which they did. So,
yeah, why can't it be like the original short story and be consensual?
Even that, I mean, it would have been stupid, but it at least wouldn't have been what we.
At least people would still like Randy to an extent.
Yeah, no. I would think he's an idiot, but I wouldn't think he's deserves to die like he does at the end. So
overall, I mean, I already gave my ranking of how I like the shorts, and this is probably one of the better anthologies just because it's 3 shorts, so each one is a little more fleshed out than most anthology movies. So, but overall, it's an enjoyable watch. It is predictable at some points, but you can never go wrong. Plus, I do like the opening music. That actually sounded kind of fun, but also eerie at the same time.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then, of course, one thing we didn't really talk about: Tom Savini played the physical creeper. At the beginning and at the end, that was Tom Savini.
That was good makeup. Good makeup with him, sure.
But the cartoon voice was somebody different. Which makes sense because I was literally thinking to myself as the cartoon voice was going, it's like, that's not Tom Savini. His voice
Yeah.
ain't that deep or raspy.
I would definitely, if I can find, I don't have Shudder, but if I can find the Creepshow TV show in a way to watch it, I'd probably check it out. The fact that it has multiple seasons suggests it's probably pretty good too. So
Well, actually, if you so on Amazon Prime, you can do like subscriptions to different things. Shutter is one of them.
yeah, but I always find Shudder to be like not having. Usually, it doesn't have enough stuff on there, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Like,
Every time I've tried it. I'll watch one thing and then I just won't watch anything else because I'll go on and look, but it's like I don't care.
yeah, I just feel like there's already so many things I could watch on Tubi if I was just looking for horror stuff. Like, you can't tell me that thing has a better horror category than Tubi's horror category. So like, Shudder has to give me something different for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna invest money into it when Tubi's free. So
That's fair. And as always, folks, you don't have to go home. You do got to watch some Creepshow. And if a sign says no swimming, you see absolutely no one on the beach, and there's a duck fighting for its life, don't assume it's goo, but assume like an alligator's in there or something. I don't know.
Well, remember the no swimming sign was like stuck in the bushes somewhere, so it wasn't like whoever, it was poorly placed by whoever was given that warning. So,
Well, most likely that originally all those trees and limbs weren't blocking it when it was first put up either.
yeah, just don't go swimming. I mean,
No swimming. If you see goo, if you see an oil slick, report the proper authorities. Don't go swimming in it because you could also catch some form of poisoning. And also just assume it's evil goo trying to eat you, so get the proper people to do it for you.
Go swimming, but go swimming in like not like in like weird like lakes like this though. Go swimming in like, a normal beach or a community pool or something like that. Maybe not
Yeah, because
community pool.
nothing bad happens at normal beaches. I mean, I've watched the movie Jaws. That was
Oh
the
my
nicest
god!
park ever.
Oh come on! I'd rather deal with Jaws. I'd say I'd rather deal with Jaws than goo, but I don't know. This goo does some bad stuff to you though. Some of those death scenes do look pretty painful. The shark may just eat you whole real quick. So this goo makes you suffer. So I don't know. I don't know which one's worse, but
The goo probably. It sounded painful.
All right, let's scale down completely. Just your bathtub. Just fill it up with some water. You can get your water fixed in your bathtub.
Go to your local pool.
Yeah.
Don't watch Aqua Slash. That was a bad movie. But go to your local pool, maybe your local water park. Have fun on the slides. Just enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but then watch out for that. Remember that one Final Destination death with the dude in the pool? You're not safe there either. But
just don't. If you drop something in the pool, assume death is trying to get you, and don't go down there.
all this leads back to just no swimming. So I'm just saying. So.
You got to learn how to swim, sir. How else are your kids going to learn?
YouTube videos. There's YouTube videos for everything. They don't need me. They got YouTube. So don't worry. All right, everybody. Until next time. You guys take care.